If you recall, at the end of the last class, we talked about the ImageStreamGang case study and focused on how to implement ImageStreamGang using Java parallel streams. What we're going to do now is we're going to revisit this case study, except this time we're going to focus on how to use Java completable futures instead of Java parallel streams. So we'll start out with just a really quick recap of what the ImageStreamGang app is all about, and then we'll talk about how it's implemented with completable futures. So this is the overall architecture of the design. You can see that you can download all the source code here at the link at the bottom of the slide. This app works by getting a list of URLs. It ignores URLs that are already cached. It downloads the non-cached URLs, which of course correspond to images. It applies a list of filters to transform each image, and then it stores the filtered images in the local file system on the device used to download the content. After it downloads everything, it goes ahead and allows the user to view the results. And of course, there's different ways you can view the results. You can view the results in Android by using an activity viewer. You can view them other ways if you run this on a console app by using some kind of an image viewer app. Now, it turns out that there's a couple different variants of this app. There's at least two that we're going to talk about now. There's actually a third one, which is based on Java reactive streams that we'll get to at some later point. So essentially, there's a parallel streams version, which we looked at before, and then there's a completable futures version. They have a lot of things in common, which you can see if you take a look at this architecture diagram. They both have pipelines of behaviors that are processing the images and so on, and doing everything in parallel. The main difference is that the parallel streams version, as we'll see, or as we saw, used synchronous communication, whereas the version that we're going to look at here with completable futures is going to use asynchronous communication. So everything's synchronous in the parallel streams version, and everything's asynchronous in the completable futures version. So what's going to happen here is we're going to have a pipeline, a Java sequential stream pipeline, which will ignore cached images asynchronously. So it'll do all that processing asynchronously. It'll then download non-cached images asynchronously. It will go ahead and filter and store the images asynchronously. Starting to get a theme here. And then it's going to trigger all the stream processing to run asynchronously. So it's going to use a variant of the completable futures mechanism we talked about that wraps up the arbitrary arity methods in a really clever way. And then finally, we're going to get all the results of the asynchronous computations after everything is done. And again, as with the parallel streams case, the results are all going to be distributed to the users. One of the nice things about doing the program with this particular approach is it helps to efficiently close the gap between the domain intent, which are those steps we just talked about, and the implementation, the computations, which are going to use streams and completable futures to do all the processing in a nice way. So that was just a very, very quick recap. I think you probably remember this stuff when we talked about Java parallel streams, but I just wanted to rekindle your memory so you don't have to go back and watch any of those earlier videos.